We are back, boys, and the grind for the Duelist Cup was much easier than I expected. We completed it all with Labyrinth, and our win rate was absolutely bonkers. We have an overall 80% win rate in the Duelist Cup. I'm going to show you those stats in just a second. So yeah, as you can see here, this was the rank up game, and we won 18 out of our last 20 matches yet again. Absolutely an insane run in the Duelist Cup with Labyrinth. So Labyrinth has proven to be a deck after my own heart. It plays kind of under the same philosophies as Floowandereeze in that you don't necessarily lose to Maxi, but even better, you don't necessarily have to care too much about Nibiru either, whereas Floowandereeze did. Yes, you both have the same weakness to Ash Blossom, but what deck doesn't at this point? In this matchup here, we are going second against Superheavy Samurai, and I totally forgot that you want to wait until they have a monster on field so that they can't do this in gammaing your Maxi on the special summon of the Wakaushi if that's the first thing they do in the Pendulum Scale. So I had to waste my Ash Blossom there in order to stop the Gamma, which can just be activated again, but now that they have a monster on field, it's a dead card in their hand. So they thought for a while here, then they just end up normal summoning and going into a Baguska. So my Maxi only goes basically neutral since I had to waste the Ash Blossom on it, but at least it drew me into some engine here. And as we know, Superheavy Samurai, you know, they don't play Call by the Graves and all that stuff, so we really only have to worry about a couple of hand traps that they might have. We drew into the Imperm here, we activate Imperm, we normal summon the Ariana, and the opponent just scoops, realizing that their Maxi isn't going to get much value, and that their Baguska is now negated. They're just going to get cleaned up by trap cards, and just like that, Labyrinth can be so effective, even going second. Alright, in this next duel here, we are once again going second, and again, what I love about Labyrinth is that you naturally run a lot of hand traps because some of those hand traps just happen to be infinite impermanence, which are traps that you would play for the Labyrinth cards anyways. But we also have a Nibiru in hand here, and we see that the opponent is likely on Naturia Runic or some kind of Naturia variant, so they're going to cycle through a bunch of Naturia cards here, and I'm keeping track of their summons because they play pretty heavily into Nibiru if they don't go for an early Baron. And if they go for Sunflower, we do have the infinite impermanence to negate. This combination of two cards here basically stops anything, right? So even if they had a Baron, we just imperm negate it and then Nibiru anyways. So their field setup here with the Rose Whip means I can only activate one spell and trap per turn. This would normally be pretty bad for us, but again, we can't even, oh, actually we can't beat over it with the Ariana, but we can imperm it, right, to negate it. But on the Naturia V summon here, which would negate all spells, which doesn't really matter for us, it would definitely help against Snake Eyes. But you can see here that we just clear out the field with the Nibiru. The opponent has one card in hand, and once again, one of the things I love about Labyrinth in correlation with Floowandereeze is that you don't really necessarily have to go into your extra deck. Well, Floowandereeze never really does, but like Labyrinth can opt not to use their extra deck. And so for a card like Naturia Mole Cricket here, where it states that if your opponent special summons monsters from the extra deck, you don't have to really worry about that. So you don't have to necessarily play into that card at all, which is really nice. It basically only triggers if the opponent synchro summons into a Naturia card. So we're going to go ahead during the end phase and trigger off our Chandelier to set a card. They're going to Bestial Druisworm right away, and that's totally fine because we still have good engine in hand here. The turn passes to us, and we draw a Transaction Rollback, which is really strong here. The Ariana is going to search the Stovey Torby, which we can then use to pitch the rollback and set up a field spell so that when we activate Big Welcome, we can pop token. And I was honestly thinking, like, I totally forgot. Like, I knew when the Mole Cricket went to grave, I'm like, okay, I just don't special summon from the extra deck. But in this instance, I was like, oh, I'll just banish the Druisworm with the Chaos Angel. But then I realized, oh, I don't actually want to do that. But the opponent ended up scooping anyways. We would have just beat into it and let the opponent out one of our cards because we would reset the Big Welcome with the Lovely anyways and just get it back from the grave when they pop it with the Druisworm. So the opponent was on no resources. Labyrinth had its resource game going. The opponent realizes and just scoops it up on turn 2. Alright, in this matchup here, we are going second, and our opening hand is alright. We do have a Pot of Prosperity, and hopefully we don't get ashed, and we also have an Imperm here. So, once again, on Kashtira, we are going to Imperm the Unicorn to prevent the Theosis extension or the Birth Search. So, we're going to put the opponent on, let's see what else you have. They don't have anything. I'm fine letting them rip my extra deck. Oh, I guess they can't because of Imperm. That's right. That's right. On draw phase, they're going to Maxi, and I don't even bother ashing it because I'm like, I don't have to special summon. That's fine. Like, this is, again, why I love Labyrinth. Like, you just play around so much of what the meta is. And this is why I played Floowandereeze, because I hated playing into Maxi. So I am all for these decks that don't play into Maxi. Normal summon Ariana, go ahead and rip my extra deck with Unicorn. I'm totally fine with that. We search out a Stovey Torby. They rip the Baguska, which is what I left in there. We go battle phase, and beat over the Unicorn. Yes, I should have beat over the Unicorn first and then main phase 2 normal summon the Ariana so that I didn't have to lose my Baguska, but it doesn't really matter. We end with a Stovey Torby activating to set a big welcome, and we set the Ice Dragon Prison. The opponent just scoops it up, realizing that I guess they can't bother to play through the Labyrinth field. So another easy W for Labyrinth against Kashtira too. So I do find that it's less likely to brick with Labyrinth, but brick hands look something like this to a certain extent. Like there are worse ones for sure, but we are basically hoping that the opponent plays into a maxi and doesn't OTK us in order for us to survive. We have one ability to interrupt the opponent with the set compulse, but they apparently brick as well, or they're on like an OTK strategy that relies on us putting monsters on field. But because we drew into the Stovey Torby here, we're going to activate the Coup Clock and chain the Torby so that we can do the whole set big welcome and activate play. Unfortunately, the opponent had a Gamma to stop the Stovey Torby search, and when we attempted to maxi to draw 1, because that's how desperate we are, the opponent had the Ash Blossom anyways. It's actually not the worst to bait out the Ash Blossom. We just have to hope that the opponent doesn't unbrick on their next draw, but I'm really curious as to what they could be on, because they must be on just a ton of hand traps, or like I don't know what could be in their hand that would be causing them bricks. Like maybe it's like double Nibiru and a couple other hand traps, but hey, that's gonna help you a lot drawing into the Pot of Prosperity. And they reveal that they're on Kashtira, and you can see their top decking a lot of other interruptions in terms of hand traps, but they opt to take the Rise Heart here, and I'm like, okay, that's actually good. They normal summon it, and before they can activate the effect to banish, I'm going to pop it to return it to the hand. And I chained the Stovey Torby, and I was like, I know he had the maxi because it lit up on his field when I was bringing the Coup Clock back to hand or special summoning. If they opted to maxi then, I would just bring the Coup Clock back to hand because I choose on resolution. So I think they knew that, so they didn't activate the maxi. But they activated here. But funny story is that they activated Pot of Prosperity, so they're actually not going to be able to draw off the maxi here. So we know they have a Rise Heart in hand. And right here, we let them go to end phase, and then we're going to end up using Coup Clock and just hope the opponent doesn't have a second Ash Blossom, because if we're going to be able to resolve this, we can definitely start setting up full engine here. Yeah, we're under maxi, but they Prosperity, so we're going to be able to special summon Coup Clock and then activate the big welcome to bring out Lovely, pop a card in their hand, the turn passes to us, then we just kind of continue to build up our resources. The opponent kind of realizes what's going on there, and thankfully we were able to pull that one out. It's not sure how, but I guess we're both residents of Brick City in this match. So this was my rank up match, and unfortunately we did lose the coin toss, but that's okay. I've been losing coin tosses quite frequently as I hit the upper levels of the Duelist Cup. The opponent starts off with a normal summon Blazing Cartasia, and if I see this as their normal summon, I'm guessing their hand is pretty weak, so I thought a good like 20-30 seconds here, and I did decide to Gamma, and I'm like, alright, well if that's your normal summon, I'll put you on, you better have an extension. Sure enough, the opponent does in the Tearlaments Grief, but thankfully we have Ash Blossom. Now you might think this is great for me, but I actually don't have any way to play myself since my hand is technically still bricked. They're going to go ahead and activate Sharon now, and I'm not too worried because they would have done that earlier if that was a play that they could extend off of. They pitch an Ash Blossom in order to keep whatever trap card or spell card this is, and I'm like, that's got to be pretty significant. They don't know I'm on Labyrinth yet, so they don't know that Ash Blossom would like single-handedly stop a Labyrinth card like the Ariana or the Big Welcome or Welcome Labyrinth if I have it. But I'm just like, this hopefully isn't an Imperm, and hopefully isn't Sullick, right? I mean, I don't think these Labyrinth or these Tearlament piles play Imperm, so I should be safe as long as it's not the one of Sullick. We should be fine. Sure enough, it's not, thankfully. It's a Meta Noise, and I'm like, okay, this will allow them to send the Haveness, I guess, and flip my Ariana face down, which is actually relevant because I can't search a furniture here because I actually want to keep all of these cards in my hand. I guess I could pitch the field spell since it's not too useful, but I just opt to straight up bring the Big Welcome here. But my Coup Clock now can't activate, or I can, but I won't be able to activate the trap card I set because I don't have the face-up Ariana on field any longer. So in hindsight, maybe bringing furniture, pitch Labyrinth, right? Or bring furniture, activate Coup Clock, chain the furniture to special summon the Coup Clock so I could activate the Big Welcome was a play here. But again, I don't want to pop the Sharon because it'll get a fusion, right? And the opponent already has a fusion here. So in the end, it ended up working out for me. They go for Kick Kalos, and I'm like, okay, extensions for next turn. I'm already trying to think ahead into how I can get Ice Dragon Prison in rotation off of the Lady, but they opt to send Sharon off of the Kick Kalos instead of adding to hand a card, a Tearlaments card. and they go into Rukalos, which makes sense because now they know I'm on Labyrinth, and this card is a walking Labyrinth negate, right? It'll negate the big welcome and the welcome Labyrinth. Just negate the special summon and destroy the card. So it makes sense that they go for this. And if I do destroy it, which, you know, again, if they know Labyrinth likes to destroy, it's fine because they just bring it back, right? So the Tearlament matchup is not great for us. But now that we have them on minimal resources, we are going to be able to utilize this Daruma Cannon. We just have to hope the opponent doesn't top deck like a Rhino Heart or like a Perlo Rhino or some way to extend. And we should be good. Thankfully, you know, they're just going to go straight battle phase. And once they opt to attack with the Rukalos, we're going to activate the Daruma Cannon so that they cannot flip the Rukalos back up. With 2,500 defense, I can definitely stop this with the Lady, assuming this resolves and they didn't draw Ash for turn either. Thankfully, it does. We're going to be able to grab the Lovely here, bounce back the Ariana, and then we're not going to trigger the Labyrinth to pop the Rukalos because it would just come back in face-up mode and in attack mode with 3,000 attack, which means I can't beat over it. We're going to pop or use the Lovely effect to pop the card in hand, and thankfully it was a non-Tearlament card. It was a Branded Beast, so no effect gained there. And then they just pass turn because they have no extenders, and we're good to go. So we draw for turn and we draw the Chandelier. We're going to normal summon the Ariana. Now we're just like popping off. We're like going to go full combo here. We're going to special summon the Lady that was brought to the hand off of the Ariana, reset the Big Welcome, activate the Cool Clock, and then go battle phase, beat over the Rukalos, and then just attack for 16. I'm not getting greedy. I can't go for game necessarily, so I'm just going to go to end phase. Wait for them to bring back the Cartasia, because I knew this was going to happen when I send the Rukalos, which is a fusion monster, to grave. And after this, with my toggle on, resolves, I'm going to chain the Big Welcome now, and then chain the Lady Labyrinth to set an imperm from deck. So if they top deck something relevant, I can just imperm it, like a Rhino Heart or something. And the Labyrinth will allow me to special summon a Torby, bounce it back to hand to trigger the Lovely to pop that Cartasia that they just brought to hand, keeping them on minimal resources. And then again, once everything resolves, we're going to once again use the Torby to set a Big Welcome so that we can pop the card that they draw. As soon as they draw it, we're also going to special summon out the Coup Clock. So even if they draw a Tearlament name here, whatever they fuse into, I'll just imperm it, right? So it's not too much of a threat. So even if I pop something that's relevant that allows them to extend, I'm feeling okay here. And I do have Coup Clock that I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to set Ice Dragon Prison probably with the Lady, which will allow me to have 2 major interruptions and then activate them thanks to the Coup Clock being bounced back to hand. And just like that, I absolutely decimated the Tearlaments going second, which is a matchup that would usually be pretty tough for us, and we ended up hitting max level off of this match.